has given me everything, and more than all, it has given me immense satisfaction.
There are huge good things which have happened in the last 60 years, but many bad things have happened.
Really, I'm proud of our country, and people from our country have earned a great name in India and elsewhere.
We have taken to the villages by this Panchayat Raj Act only corruption and politics.
Dream of a great country, that my country will become a developed country by 2030.
India should encourage rural liberalization.
India had a true democracy, but as the years went by, people's representatives' greed for power increased. What was not contemplated under the Constitution was grabbed by these so-called representatives of the people. What was not even contemplated in the Constitution started happening. Constitution contemplated 3 organs. One, a representative of the people to be the legislators or members of parliament. Their duty was to attend the parliament or the legislature, represent the interest of the people and make laws and policies, and that was the end of the matter. They were chosen because they knew the problems of the people. They were not required to implement the decisions of the parliament and legislature because they were not experts in this field. The parliament, the constitution had provided for such an execution of the policies and the acts of the legislature, that is the executive. Executive consisted of persons who had qualifications, minimum qualifications fixed, who were trained for the job to which they were being allotted, and periodical training was given to them so that they could understand the purpose and the object for which the laws and policies of the government was made. They did discharge their duties, as I said, in the first 2 decades quite efficiently. India was a third world country with a large burden of population and limited economic resources. Even then, the elected representatives and the executives tried to make life as comfortable as possible. If not physically comfortable, the people forgot their problems with the pride that they were free Indians and they are governing themselves. There was the other wing of the Constitution, the third wing, the judiciary. Again, judiciary was to consist of people of great intelligence, knowledge, integrity was taken for granted. It was never even suspected. And this was the institution which was to be the institution which would decide the disputes between the state and the people and people and the people. The federal court was replaced by the Supreme Court of India, and the high courts which existed during the British rule continued. As the executive as well as the legislature is concerned, even the judiciary had its own way of functioning, which was deeply appreciated by the people of India. It's when the elected representatives thought that they are more powerful than the other organs, the problem started. 70s and 80s were the days when the legislature, members of the elected body, thought they are more powerful than the other wings. They knew more about the problems of the people. They thought they could take control of the situation, both economic as well as political situation. And there was nobody to oppose them. Constitution had contemplated a system which was not overlapping with one organ of the constitution with the other. While the legislators were supposed to make laws and go back to their constituency and look into the interests of the people, and the executive, which was to discharge the functions allotted to it, as well as the judiciary, which was to function within the framework of the constitution, remained what it was. The legislators started grabbing power, making use of the provision in the constitution which provided for making rules of business and suspecting the executive not to function in a manner they wanted the executive to function, and also taking advantage of a system called the cabinet form of government, which is contemplated by the Indian Constitution. Slowly, through the cabinet, the executive's powers were denuded. Executives were made subservient to the elected representatives. Very unfortunate that people who may be the representatives, but whose knowledge of administration was next to nothing, took over the practical administration of the country. The executives who were trained to administer, to implement the laws, succumbed to the demands of the elected representatives. Fortunately, during that period, the Supreme Court kept itself out from this controversy, and nobody interfered with the Supreme Court. The consequences of legislature interfering with the executive work became more and more severe. Consequently, we found a lot of lacuna in the administration. The amount allocated to a particular project in a particular constituency was never spent on a project which was truly meant to be spent with. The whims and fancies of the elected representatives was such that for various reasons, very often collateral reasons, the amount was diverted and was spent. Therefore, the lopsided development with which we are suffering today started growing. Unfortunately, the executive, which could have fought this incursion into their field, did not oppose it. I personally feel originally it was not opposed only because of the fact that they were afraid of transfer. Every bureaucrat knew that at some point of time or other, in some hierarchy or other, he is bound to be transferred. But they got used to the factum of working in cities in cushy jobs by merely saying yes sir to the legislators, now started becoming total subservient to the demands of the elected representatives. We hear even today that an elected representative making a demand on the chief minister, give me that DC, give me this SP, give me this inspector, give me that Tahsildar, otherwise my constituency will not develop. This practice is going on in a big way, and if it continues, then the bureaucracy also will have to be a political bureaucracy and not an independent bureaucracy.